This video is best viewed in higher definition. To enable, click the Settings button at the bottom of the page, just here. Then click the drop-down box under Quality, and then select the highest definition offered, in this case 720 HD. Enjoy the video. In this video, I'll continue the process of showing you how to set up DTFL Pro for effective backtesting. It's advisable that you've already watched the previous video in this series entitled Backtesting 1, Installation and Setup of Historical Data. Let's take a look at this video on the DTFL Pro video channel. So here's the video channel. As you can see, there's lots of videos supporting the use of DTFL Pro. If we scroll down, and you'll see the video I'm talking about here in this section here, which is entitled DTFL Pro Setting Up for Effective Backtesting. Here's the previous video in the series, DTFL Pro Downloading Historical Data. The video that you're watching now will eventually be placed here, so there'll be at least 2 videos in this series. In this video, I showed you how to download and effectively set up historical data within the History Center of the MT4. This may be data I've provided as a download with DTFL Pro, or alternatively, some that you have sourced yourself and that fits your budget and needs. If you've successfully followed the video and completed this task, we now have the historical price data required for our backtest. But what else do we need? The other key data required for backtesting the DTFL strategy are the relevant key historical price points or high probability manipulation points for the currency pair and relevant date range that you want to test. For simplicity, I call these historical price points or high probability manipulation points PPLevels or PP lines. Until you have built up your own sets of these PPLevels, the most comprehensive source of PPLevels can be found in the Daily Market Review in the members area of the Trading Forex Live website. Let's take a quick look at the members area of this website. As you can see here, there is a videoed Daily Market Review for each and every day. This is uploaded in advance of the European trading session, usually around 0600 Greenwich Mean Time. This daily video not only reviews the events of the previous day, but also explains in detail the rationale and reasoning behind the selection of the relevant PPLevels for the forthcoming day. Let's take a look at a specific day. The Daily Market Review for April the 23rd, 2015. So I'll click on this page here. As you can now see, these new PPLevels for the current day are independently listed here below the Daily Market Review video. The levels are shown for both the Euro USD and also for the Pound USD. Some brief notes on market sentiment may also be included. So this means, if you wish, you can visit this area, select and record the PPLevels you want without having to watch the whole video, and then still have plenty of time to enter them, calmly set up DTFL Pro for the current day, all prior to the start of the European session. You'll be pleased to know that I've taken the time to record and save these historical PPLevels for you, and made the most recent PPLevels available as a free download with DTFL Pro. I've saved the files that store these PPLevels available in both .csv and Excel formats. Let's take a look at the Excel format. I've chosen to use the Excel format for ease of storage and updating, and then when I want to use the PPLevels in DTFL Pro, I convert them into a .csv file and then load them into DTFL Pro. I'll show you how to do that in a moment. It is very, very important, in fact critical, that when using or updating this Excel file, that you keep the format exactly the same as you can see now. If you change this format in any way, by even introducing just an empty cell, say, this will make the resultant .csv file unreadable to DTFL Pro, and your backtest will not work. As you can see, the required format has just 8 columns: date, day, time, PP level 1, PP level 2, PP level 3, PP level 4, and PP level 5. Please note that each day is spread over 2 lines, one line for short or upper PP lines, and one line for long or lower PP lines. Please note that short or long is still tight, even if there are no PP lines for that current day. Please note the exact date format. It has a 4-digit year, followed by a dash, followed by a 2-digit month, followed by a dash, and then a 2-digit day. This is the only format that is acceptable and that can be recognized by DTFL Pro. So let me now demonstrate how to enter a new set of daily PP levels. So let's scroll to the bottom of this file. As you can see, the last date was the 27th of March 2015. So let's enter the PP levels for Monday the 30th of March 2015. So let's assume we've gone to the DTFL website, gone to the members area and looked up the daily market review for the 30th of March 2015. And we've noted the levels for that day, as you can see now. So the first thing we're going to do is type in the date, which is 2015 03 30. That's a Monday. First of all, we're going to enter the short. Let's type long in below while we're at it. Oops. So if I've made that one typo there and then saved it like that, it wouldn't have recognised it. So first of all, we're going to enter the upper PP lines under short. The first one is 1.0839. You'll notice that I've automatically set Excel so that 5 digits appear after the decimal point. Second price is 1.0881. The third one 1.0922. Now we're going to enter the lower PP lines. The first one is 1.0766 and the second is 1.0617. Now, having completed that, what I always do is I select the line below and I just right click and delete everything below, just in case somehow I've left a space in there. And then I always scroll to the top of the page and in the same way I highlight this column here, select these columns here, right click and delete there. So that deletes everything to the right of the column PP file. Now I want to save this new file, so I'm going to File, Save As, and this opens the folder where I'm going to store the historical PP levels. As you can see, here is the one that I've just updated, which was from January the 6th to March the 27th, 2015. So this new file we've added in one day, so it actually now goes to March the 30th. So I'm going to save it here. So here is the newly created Excel file that now contains the PP levels from January the 6th, 2014 to March the 30th, 2015. So what we need to do now is convert this Excel file into a CSV file. so that it can be read by DTFL Pro. So I'll show you how to do that now. So double click on the file to open it, then go to File, Save As. Here's the file here. We're going to go to Save As Type, and using this drop down box we're going to select, you look down this list, we're going to select CSV, delimited. Click on that, make sure it's there, and then we're going to press Save. When we press Save, it will save the existing Excel file into a CSV file of exactly the same name. So let's do that now. You will probably get this warning come up saying that some of the features may not be compatible with CSV and asking you, do you want to keep the workbook in this format? You do want to keep it in this format, so say yes. So that's saved to a CSV file. We're now going to close this file. When you click close, you'll probably get this saying, do you want to save changes? Say yes, save. And then the file come up again, and again you want to press save. Comes up with this warning. Do you want to replace the CSV file which already exists? Just select yes. You have to do the same thing again as we've just done. You can now see we've got this file here, which is the Excel file named latest activation points Euro USD only January 6th to March the 30th, and now we've got a CSV file of the same name. So that I can place this CSV in its correct location, I'm going to need to copy it. So I'm going to click on the CSV file, right click, and then copy. So I'm going to now need to open MT4, so let's do that now. So before we go on and copy the CSV file to the correct location within MT4, I've actually paused the video here to explain something that is equally important to saving the CSV file to the right location, and that's to ensure it's correctly named so that DTFL Pro will be able to recognize it and automatically pull and generate the PPLevels required. To achieve this, DTFL Pro requires the CSV file name to be constructed from 3 specific components. The first component is the import file name you have chosen in the general inputs of DTFL Pro. Let me show you. Go to the smiley face in the top right of the screen, left click, and it will open up the input screen. Scroll to the very bottom of the inputs. Then if you look here, you'll find the import file name, and the default is activation levels. Now I suggest you leave it as it is here, but you could change it to anything you wanted. But the default is activation levels, and I suggest you just leave it as is. So this is the first component required in the file name of the CSV file, activation levels, or whatever you've chosen to write here. So let's close that. The second component is the time frame in minutes you are running your backtest in, be it 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute, an hour or 60 minutes, 4 hours, which is 240 minutes, or a daily backtest, which is 1,440 minutes. So the second component required is the time frame in minutes that you're running your backtest in. The third component required in the CSV file name is how the currency pair you wish to run your backtest in is described by your broker. Let me give you some examples. So the way my broker FQ Securities choose to display their currency pairs is shown here at the top of the chart. for the Euro USD is Euro USD, and they add in .FQ, which is actually non-standard. Most of you won't have anything after the D of Euro USD and before the comma there. Most of you won't have anything there. This is actually non-standard. FQ securities add in a .FQ. So for a pound-dollar chart, let's open one of them up. And you can see in the same way for a pound-dollar, they've added in .FQ. So as I say, this is a non-standard format. Let's compare it to a standard format such as Alpari UK. So let's open an Alpari UK chart so we can compare the difference. So here's a Alpari UK chart. As you can see, this is a standard way of displaying the currency pairs on the chart. GBUSD, comma, and then the time frame. Unlike FQ securities, there is nothing after the D and nothing before the comma. Let's look at a Euro chart. So here's Alpari UK, a Euro chart. Compare it to a Euro chart FQ, and again you can see Euro USD, comma M15, which is a standard format, and a non-standard format, which is Euro USD .FQ, comma M15. So as I say again, the non-standard part is the .FQ. So to summarize, when deciding the third component of the file name for your CSV file, you need to look at a chart of the currency pair you intend to backtest on and copy it exactly. For a standard format, it'd be like this, Euro USD. For a non-standard format, it'll be Euro USD followed by whatever digits or letters appear after the D and before the comma. In this case of FQ securities, it will be Euro USD .FQ. Let me use this graphic to show you some examples. So let's say you wanted to create a CSV file name that would be recognized by DTFL Pro for a Euro-Dollar 15-minute backtest using my broker FQ Securities. This is the file name you would have to use. The first component will be the currency pair, which is Euro USD, and because it's non-standard, we'd have to add in .FQ. The second component would be the time frame that we want to run the backtest in this case 15 minutes. So we'd add the digits in minutes, 15, 1-5. And the third component is what you've entered in the import file name within the inputs of DTFL Pro. In this example, we've used the default for activation levels. So the complete file name will be Euro USD .FQ, the first component, 15, the time frame, the second component, underscore activation levels as the third component. So let's give you another example. Let's say you wanted to run a backtest on the pound-dollar in the hour time frame, again with my broker from FQ Securities. What would the structure of the CSV file have to be? The first component will be how the currency pair is recorded by FQ Securities. So in this case, it will be GBP USD for pound-dollar. Because this is a non-standard format, we have to add in the .FQ. Second component, for the hour, we'd have to add in 60. And the third component will be underscore activation levels, because that's what we've got written in the import file name within the settings of DTFL Pro. Let's give you one last example. Let's say we wanted to create the CSV file name for a 30-minute time frame backtest in the Euro USD. How would that have to be constructed? Well, again, it would be Euro, USD, and .FQ because it's non-standard. The second component would be 30 with a time frame of 30 minutes. And the third component would be underscore activation levels, so it complies with the import file name which we've recorded within the inputs of DTFL Pro. So now let's compare how the file name would have to be recorded differently if it was a standard format such as with Alpara UK and not a non-standard format as used with FQ securities. So in the first example, the CSV file name would have to be Euro USD 15 underscore activation levels. In the second example, the CSV file name would have to be GB pound USD 60 underscore activation levels. And in the third example, the CSV file name would have to be Euro USD 30 underscore activation levels. So now I've explained how the CSV file name needs to be constructed so it is recognized by DTFL Pro when running a backtest. Let's return to the main video. So if you remember, just before we paused the video, we just saved a newly created CSV file and we were just going to find out the correct location within M24 to save it. So let's go ahead and do that now. So we're going to go up to File, Open Data Folder, double click on Tester, double click on Files, double click on DTFL Pro. As you can already see, there are already two folders and two files in my version of M24. In your version, this folder will most likely be empty. Let me just explain what these folders are. So let me explain this file first. This file is automatically generated and contains a detailed report of the most recent operation to have taken place, in this case for a Euro USD operation in the 15-minute time frame. It should be noted, unless the file name report 1 is changed within the general settings of DTFL Pro, the next operation will overwrite the report contained here. Let me just quickly open it for you. That gives you an idea of how detailed it is. The next file, this one here, BT screenshots. This file is also automatically generated and contains live screenshots of all significant events undertaken by DTFL Pro. Things like stop runs, confirming candles, pullback candles, the moving of stop loss, entries, exits are all examples of screenshots that would be taken. These screenshots are continuously taken, so some housekeeping is required to delete old screenshots that are no longer required. Next is this folder. This is a folder I've created and named myself, and I use it for storing CSV files I've already used or that I may want to use in the future. I use it like a holding folder for all CSV files. You can name it anything you wish. So I'm actually going to double click on this file and open it now. As you can see, I've got CSV files that I've previously stored. And they're both for Euro USD. This one contains PP levels from January the 6th to March the 1st. This one contains PP levels from January the 6th to March the 27th. What I'm going to do now is click in this area, right click and paste. And the new CSV file that we've just created has now been saved and stored in this holding folder. So now let's click back. So we've now saved our new CSV file in this holding folder. I'm also going to click here, and while I'm doing it, right click and paste, save it here as well. So before I rename this new CSV file in the correct format so it's recognized by DTFL Pro, let's just mention the last file here. So what do you think it is? Well, we can tell by its structure, can't we? We know it's a previously saved CSV file that contains PPLevels for a backtest I've run for the Euro-USD currency pair. We also know it was for FQ securities, and it was over a 15-minute time frame. So what we want to do now is set up the latest and new CSV file we've just saved here, set that up so that the PPLevels that it contains can be used in the next backtest that I run. So to do that, we've got to change the file name so it's recognized by DTFL Pro. So what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to click in here once. I'm just going to put a 1 there. I'm now going to change this file name here to one that will be recognized by DTFL Pro. So if we click in here, and we know what the 3 component parts of the file structure must be. We're going to run a backtest for the Euro-USD in a 15-minute time frame. We need to type Euro-USD, and now because it's a non-standard format and we're using FQ securities, we know we've got to put .FQ, then the time frame, which is 15 underscore activation levels. Click away, jumps up here. Now this is all set up so that when we run a backtest for Euro-USD in the 15-minute time frame, it will now include the level right up to the 30th of March 2015. If we wanted to revert and use a different set of PPLevels, we could go back into this holding folder and select this file. Select it, right click, copy, go back to this folder, right click, paste, and now change this to the currency pair time frame that's required for the backtest we want to run. So that's how I use this holding folder to save old and new CSV files and then transfer them from there to here, rename them so they can be used in subsequent backtests. So just a bit of tidying up and housekeeping now. I'm just going to delete this file because it isn't required, because it's in there. This activation level is no longer required because it's been replaced by this one, and the information contained in here is within this holding folder anyhow. So I'm going to right click, delete it. So we're now ready to move on and show you an actual backtest which uses the PPLevels contained within this new CSV file that we've just imported, saved in this location. So let's move on and do that now. So we're going to now close MT4. So click up here. Now if we're going to close MT4, don't forget to remove DTFL Pro from the chart before closing. The easiest way to do that, and the proper way to do it, is right click on the smiley face, scroll down to Expert Advisors, and then across to Remove. Something I'll mention there is that DTFL Pro has now been removed from the chart. However, you'll notice that all the session boxes and other details have been retained. You know DTFL Pro has been removed from the chart because the black box is gone and the smiley face has disappeared from up here, but everything else remains. And that's because the very last input in general settings gives the option of retaining this information when you close the chart or not. And in the current set file that I'm using, I've chosen to retain all objects on the chart. That's why you can still see these things, even though DTFL Pro is no longer attached to this chart. So we're now going to close MT4. Reopen MT4. So now we've got the latest PPLevels loaded into the correct folder within DTFL Pro. We're going to run a backtest. So to do this, we're going to use the Strategy Tester feature within MT4. So if you go up to this button here, which is the Strategy Tester button, and press it once, you see a new window opens at the bottom of the chart. Let's go through each selection you can make here. The first thing to do is, if you click on this drop down box here, you'll be presented with all the different expert advisors that you can run a backtest on. So make sure you select the latest version of DTFL Pro, which is this version here. Then you're going to select the symbol or the currency pair that you wish to run the backtest on. As you can see, this will list all the different currency pairs that your broker provides. So we're going to leave it at Euro, US dollar. The next thing you can select is the model. So there's three selections here. Click on here. I always use this one as it's the most precise method available. So let's leave it on every tick. The next thing is, if you select here, gives you the option to select the dates that you wish to run your backtest over, which you'll probably be doing most of the time, whether it be just one day or a week, 2 weeks, or maybe a number of months. Obviously, the longer period of time that you're running the backtest, the longer it will take. When you want to select the dates, you just click here, select the dates you want. Quite normal, I'm sure you've all seen it before. This tick box here, visual mode, if you untick this, the backtest will run with no chart showing. You won't see the price action and what occurs on a chart above the backtest. I always tend to have visual mode on because I like seeing how the price action works, how the stop runs occur, and you can learn a lot just by watching a backtest. It's very interesting actually. But if you don't want to have the chart displayed as the backtest is run, or if you're going to be going out and leaving the backtest to run, I think it actually does run a bit faster if you have this mode off. This bar here is actually what controls the speed. So when the backtest is running, if it's right up at 32, it'll go through quite fast. If it's down at 1, it will crawl at a very, very low speed. So you can control the speed here. It's very sensitive. You get up to 31 and 32 and move it there in error, the chart will fly along very quickly. So this skip feature here, I've never actually used it, but I believe what it allows you to do is to skip the visual mode until this date. So the backtest will run and it will only become visible on the chart when it reaches that date. So I think that's what that does. I've never actually used it and I apologise if I've not got that correct. The next thing to select is here. This is the time frame that you're going to run the backtest over. And what we've got it set here at the moment is for the M15 or the 15-minute time frame. Here you can set a standard spread for the backtest. I always set my spread for backtest to 2, even though my broker is actually less than this. Next is this optimization tick box, which I always leave unticked as it's not something I use. Next, let's go up to expert properties. Let's click on that. This opens a very familiar window, and this is where you can change any of the inputs you wish for the backtest you're going to run. You can manually change them by clicking into each field, changing this. So go in here, double click, try 2.0 and then enter. That would change this field. You can go through each of these fields and change them, do what you want with them, and then run the back test. Here you can save a set of inputs that you've just created. So say I wanted to set this to 2 as well, so double click in there, say 3 actually, 3. So now this set of inputs is different from the previous set of inputs that were here when the window opened. So if I wanted to save this set of inputs, I just place save. It opens up this window. Just move that over, you can see it. And I could call this anything I want really. So let's call it Fred inputs. And then save. And this saves it as a set file. So if I save it, and now if I push the load button, you see it's up there as an option. So at the moment there's 2 options here. I could use this one, which was obviously something to do with the 31st of March 14 to the 25th of October 14, a set of parameters that I was maybe testing or using. Or I could, but let's do that actually. Let's do it. Let's click on that, and you'll see that some of all these inputs would have changed. You see it's gone back to 1.5, 1.5. And if I go back to load, and then load in Fred again, double click, and you see it's gone to 2 and 3 again. So that's how you can load and save different set files that you can run in your back test. So for the purpose of this example, let's use the Fred set of inputs which we've just loaded. So let's press OK. Symbol properties, open chart and modify expert are things that I never touch. I'm not really familiar what you can do with them here. If you want to find out, there's plenty of information on the internet about them. So now everything should be set up for us to be able to run a backtest. And the backtest will be using the latest version of DTFL Pro. It will run using the Euro-US dollar currency pair in the 15-minute time frame. It will use the most precise method available, which is every tick. We've decided to have the visual mode on. So when I start the back test, you'll actually be able to see it visually run. So let's go ahead now and run a back test. I've selected some dates, which is for the first week of daylight saving, 31st of the 3rd to the 4th of the 4th. And when I press the start button, the back test will start. What I want you to do is just watch here when I push the start button, and you'll see collecting M1 here. That is telling you that the 1 minute data is being collected from the HST file that we uploaded in the other video. Just watch that there. Once that happens, then I'll open up the journal tab here, and you'll be able to see all the PP levels being extracted from the CSV file that we just installed into MT4. So let's go ahead and do that. Don't forget, look down here first. So we're going to start the back test now. There we go. There's collecting M1 data. Let's just slow it down so it doesn't rush off. Open up the journal. Just loaded there. You saw it flash up. That was loading DTFL Pro. And here you are. It's starting to load in all the levels. This is going to the CSV file, loading them all up. The charts now appeared up here, which is the back testing chart. It's not moving on, but it is very, very slowly moving on, as you can see. That's because let's move that across. It's moving very slow. That's because I've set the speed here to very slow. That's why it's hardly moving at all. But you can see it's still loading in all the PP levels. And in fact, what it'll do, it will load in every single level from the file that is named, as you can see here, EURUSD.FQ15_activation_levels.CSV. That is the file it looked for, and it found 623 entries in that file, and it's loaded it all into the backtest. So you could run a backtest during any of that time period. So let's go back now to settings, and I can, using this bar, speed up or slow the backtest. If you look up here, the backtest will move off. So if I speed it up, there we go, it'll start to speed up. There we go. You see it get faster and faster. If I push it to 32, look, it goes pretty fast. So here you can see the first PP level's been drawn. European session has started. There's another upper PP line and a lower PP line. So on this date, which is the 31st of March, you can see what PP lines there were. I'll just let this play through. See, there's been a couple of stop runs. There's not been any confirming candles. I'll just speed it up. These lines were always drawn on the screen, just weren't visible because they're outside the range where we can see. So it's now come through the Asian session to the London session. New lines should be drawn. There they are. So there's a trade taken. It's obviously probably break even trade, that looks like. I'm just going to pause. If you push this button here, that pauses the back test. If you go down to journal, it's telling you everything that's occurring. So you can look through. We can actually look back and see that one I said maybe it was break even. Actually tells you here, look, the order was set to break even and it was stopped out with a pip profit of 5 pips. So it's telling you here, listing every action that's being taken. So you can see there's lots of information. If I go right to the bottom, you can see this is where it's all being installed. It's now finding the PP levels, the file. It's downloading all the PP levels from that CSV file. Download them all, quite a few of them. Just keep going up. That's a good file, isn't it? Oh yes, it was that CSV file actually had loads of PP levels, didn't it? It was from the start of 2014 right up to March 2015, I think. Oh, here we go. Then it's saying a new operation starts, 3 upper lines and 3 lower lines identified. That's where the back test started from. And then it's listing every single thing, all the PP lines, what's happened, when a new operation has started, stop run that occurred there, confirming candle, a stop order opened, etc. etc. Pending order here has been modified, so that's a pending order. It was waiting to be hit. It was hit. The sell order has been opened. Pending order is therefore deleted because the market order has been opened. And I've been through a lot of this in some of the other videos, so I'm sure you're familiar with it. And then it moved to break even, it was stopped out. So that's what happened there. I'll run this on, and you can see here as I run it on. I'll come back to it. I have to start it first, then I'll go to journal, and you'll see it's actually describing what's happening. So we'll start the back test, go to journal, and as things happened, you'll see it lists them all here. Because there's a slight delay, while what event happens here is then transferred into the journal tab. Looks like there's an order placed here, and there's a nice bit of profit by the looks of things. So we ran this for just a week. I'll let it run for the whole week once I let you see it in action. There's another confirming candle, but there was no pullback, so there was no entry taken. And that's the end of the back test, which was at the end of the week, at just before midnight. So now, once the back test is finished, these other tabs down, if you go to report, it gives you detailed information of what happened during that back test. There's a graph of what happened, or got a nice graph this. This is showing you what's the various trades. First trade, second trade. There's 3 trades taken that week. The results, it gives you all the pending orders that are entered, the What did it end up with? $700 or £700. So if you go to this report tab, right click and then save as report, you can save a report, which I'll just say was it Fred report, and save. And let me just bring this down so you can see it. There we go. It's a strategy report here, which gives you all the details which you've seen before. So that's a way of saving it. So that shows you how to run a back test with DTFL Pro in the strategy tester part of MT4. If I have missed anything, I'll add it at the end of the video now. Thanks for watching.